Good morning, everyone. Happy Wednesday. If you did not read the previous update that I just showed you, I talked about how the Advantage members were able to close out of their positions yesterday in a nice healthy profit right around 10,750, and we had actually potential short opportunities as well once certain areas of the technicals broke down. Okay, so we got out of the market just before it dropped, and I mentioned that if you were looking for optimal places to short, break of this trend line right here, this white trend line right here, would be the place to short, and your targets would be about 10,400 or down here about 10,100. But this was really the low target after 10.4, and actually it looked like candles just ripped through everything and did not even blink right here. Okay, so clearly the selling was aggressive in this area right here, and we landed perfectly right at the top of this descending wedge trend line right here, and a very important rising trend line way back here from May. Okay, so everything met perfectly right around this point. All right, so now the point is, where do we go from here? Okay, well, first things first, I do want to mention again, in the Advantage membership, right, if you are not making great trades, all right, at the very least, I will save you from your own mistakes by doing something like this, where you're longing here. Rather, I will tell you that this may not be the place to long. It's probably better to short, or it's probably best to get out. Again, I can't tell you exactly what to do, when to do it, how to do it. I can just show you exactly what I'm doing. Okay, and like I said yesterday, I basically closed out my longs completely. Basically got out of the market. I'm selling all my positions, as you can see, and this was all timestamped yesterday at 9 p.m. when the market was still up here. Okay, so when the market was still up here, I let people know this is exactly what I'm doing, and others were happy to do it with me. All right, and so now we have to figure out, where do we go from here? Okay, so the first things first is that because this area right here where price landed has been a lot of chop, okay, meaning that there's been a lot of excitement in this area, a lot of reactions in this area. So whenever price hits this area, it either gets rejected or pushes through it. When it gets past this area, it likes to come test as support, but then rips through it. So everything happens in this sideways middle range right here. Okay, all the reactions are right here. So let's sort of map that out. Okay, let me show you guys exactly what I mean. All right, so it's probably something like this. Okay, so I know that's hard to see. I'm gonna change the color. All right, so let's do it yellow. Okay, so notice how there's a touch right there, support right there. So resistance, support, 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 resistance, support, right there. So now we're basically using that as resistance for now. Okay, your best bet here is, if price gets rejected, all right, from here, and it can't climb through, and it looks like we're going to create another lower low or break past this trend line right here on a hourly close or 4-hour close, then it's time to short again. Okay, however, I personally think because of this drop right here, which was so massive and aggressive, I personally think that we'll probably go like this, pull back a little bit, higher low, push through this, go back somewhere between this area right here, which is 11,440, and as high as maybe 11,600 or so. Okay, and then this might be the real decision point again. Are we just going to create another lower high like we did right here, and then come back when we come back right here, another lower high? Or did we just go on a big liquidity hunt, stop out everybody, and then just push back up, rip through this as well, and then go towards 11K? Both of these are likely scenarios. I would say the more probabilistic one is the fact that we actually could be going down further, but not before we go up a little bit on the smaller time frames, right? So like I said, in this yellow box, very reactionary. So just wait and see exactly what happens here. Let's see if price can climb back up here. Does it get rejected? Does it start closing under this black trend line right here? Or does it climb above this successfully and then maybe use this as support and then push back up? Because after it uses this area as support, your first target is probably up here, so around 11,440. That's about a 1.6% gain. Next target is probably around 11,600, so that's another 3.2% gain. All right. So either way, if you do get a push up out of this, right, your potential targets are either 1.5% or 3%. But if you go down, then your targets become interesting. Okay. So I'm going to talk about that in a second, but let me first actually finish off on this smaller time frame. So on the 1 hour, first thing, like I said, we were looking for is the breach of this white trend line. Then we were hoping that this area right here would hold 10,560. Then we were hoping 10,440 would hold. And then obviously after that, really nothing else in the middle except this 10,100 area. Okay, so it just broke through all these without even looking back, and now it's kind of just hovering here. Now, we saw that this lower high was being created, and I mentioned to my community that this is not the time to go long. If you see a 4-hour candle closing above here, all right, above this yellow line right here, meaning that it would then create a swing high, which is higher than this one, right? So it would go like this and then like that, meaning that it would be higher than this area right here, which it did not do. If that would have happened, then we could say that, okay, then the next target from here becomes this marker right here around 10,950. And then if it breaks that, then it becomes about 11,120, right there. But neither of that happened. So your best bet, the technicals were in your favor of going short. This broke down. So again, going short was probably a little bit better of an outcome. Now we're bouncing off the bottom of this trend line right here, as you can see, and we're bouncing off the top of this trend line right here. Okay, and we also are breaking down past this marker right here, 10,365 on the daily. Now, like I said, I was hoping that 10,365 would hold on a daily. We still do have 12 hours to go, so it could be very possible that it does close above this. And then what might happen tomorrow, if this does close up here, is we either just take a rocket candle down, or we push back up, get people excited again, thinking that we're going to go back up, go back to about 10.7 at most, and then the next following day come back down again. Now, I'm not trying to say that this is how the next few days are going to play out. I'm saying that this is really the playbook of how retracements work. Okay, typically when you have such an aggressive candle to the downside, after ripping through some critical levels, you do typically have the market sort of coming back to equilibrium to meet somewhere in the middle, try to see how many sellers are remaining in the market, test them, and if they are still remaining there and they don't want to let go of their positions, they'll more than likely dump their asset on you, right? So meaning that if prices climb up here, dump their asset on you, and then this will tank further, meaning that the demand will not be able to overcome the supply. Okay, now let's see how the volume looked on this candle. I wouldn't be surprised if it's fairly aggressive. So far, I guess it's not that bad, but again, we still have 12 hours left in the day. Okay, in this candle, so really not too bad, because overall the volume, the sell side volume way back from over here is ultimately just going down. Even if you have spikes like this one or this one or this one, overall the volume is just going down. So it's still kind of I can't definitively say we have to go down, but I'm more confident that at the very least our ceiling is a bit lowered for now. Okay, so like I said, your potential bets right now are either this cracks right here, okay, where the 10,000 marker is broken past this ascending trend line on the smaller and larger time frames, and then you can go short potentially all the way to about probably around mid 8,000s or something, or on the smaller time frames, your best bet is to wait for this yellow box to be cleared and see if you want to go long up to 10.4 or 10.6, or if this gets rejected, then you can short. Okay. Let's see how the 4-hour looks. The 4-hour also looks fairly bearish, right? There is this indecision doji printing right now. We have about 30 minutes left in it. So if this does close like this, maybe my 1-hour, theory might come true, where we may try to retrace back up, get rejected, pull back, higher low, and then push through back towards maybe 10.4 or 10.6. Okay. So you may have some small long opportunities in here. One thing that I didn't like is that we didn't even come close to this descending trend line right here. It looks like the sellers kind of stepped up a bit more aggressively, tanked price from here, and didn't even let it come back up. So this kind of tells me that the sellers are really just waiting for any movement back up to be able to sell and dump on this market. So it clearly seems like this area right here is just not enough demand to be able to keep pushing prices up. Okay, you can see each bounce has gotten smaller and smaller, right? Obviously that's why we get the lower highs like this. Okay, but overall you would hope that in this big regular flat correction, the buy side volume picks up. So typically you want to see something like this where the buy side volume comes down like this, but then over here it starts stepping up, and then it starts increasing and increasing. But that kind of didn't really happen. Overall, even the buy side volume is kind of just stagnant or getting lower and lower. So not the best sign overall over the past 55 days or so of this corrective movement. Okay. It looks like there is still some more selling happening. 10,127 is the price, and this candle looks like it's not done just yet. All right, let's check on the weekly. If the weekly does close as is, this is not the worst candle because this could be an inverted hammer. Inverted hammers on the bottom of downtrends, kind of like this, are good reversal signs for potential upside movement. So it could be possible that might be happening. I personally don't know how I feel about an inverted hammer just like right here, because it's only just 1 week of downtrend. Typically you want to see it at the bottom, like somewhere down here, after an aggressive sell-off, and then an inverted hammer shows up, kind of like this right here. But even here there's just 1, 2, 3 weeks. Right, so let's see if we can find an inverted hammer where it's a bit useful on the downside in terms of the correction, and then it bounces back up. All right, so here's one right here. I found one. Okay, so this was in February 2016. Okay, so you can see from this top we had 1, 2, 3 weeks of selling, and then the fourth candle turns into a green inverted hammer. Again, inverted hammers don't need to be red or green. They just need to come at the bottom of the selling, and then this typically marks the end of selling and potential more upside movement. All right, so it could be possible that this playbook right here, this rejection right here is analogous to what we're seeing right here, and then this could be our inverted hammer. Again, I'll take it with a grain of salt because there's only 1 week in the middle between this candle and this top, right? This bottom and this top, there's only one in the middle. But we'll see how it develops, okay? The best thing we can do is we'll see how it develops. But like I said, for now, I'm basically going to be waiting to allow the market to show me why I should get back in rather than me getting back in, okay? I will probably take some scalps here and there, whether I long above this or short below this, and I'll let my advantage members know. Okay, let's see. I don't know if there's anything else to see. Over here again, we were hoping that above 11,200, if prices did close on the daily, that would be a really fantastic close, but didn't even come close. Kind of just closed at like 11.8, 11.9, and then now it's just kind of selling off. Probably the next point is this 8,500 marker. I did have someone point out something interesting to me. Let's see. Let me put these on real quick and see exactly how this looks. Okay. So here are the. So here's the 100 moving average, which should be coming to meet price right around 98, 9900. All right. This is the 100 moving average. Again, this was very useful in the 2016-2017 bull run. The 21 and 30 EMAs, as you can see, the blue and the yellow, were very useful so far. Again, we tried to break above it for a little bit, but then again we broke down completely. So I would say they're fairly useful now, but not the most useful tool. So we're going to turn these off, the 21 and 30 EMA. Okay, so at the present moment, the 21 and the 30 are really not useful at all. All right, but what may be useful is these pivots. Right. So remember yesterday I stated in the Advantage membership, if you were around, or even in yesterday's video, that this pivot right here, okay, if prices close below this, more than likely, all right, there might be some aggressive selling happening. Okay. And that's exactly what happened. All right, you can see this maybe right here. Today's candle needs to close above 10,800 daily pivot to be considered a reasonably safe area to enter long. Okay, so I think I mentioned because it did close below that. That's one of the many reasons I did want to close out of my positions and just stay flat, meaning just not be in any positions. Okay, so that's exactly what we did. Now we look for a bounce potentially on this 100 moving average, right around 98, 9900. And if worst case scenario, we might bounce at the bottom of this cloud, which is 8900. But that's a long way to go. There's a lot of support to chew through between this and this. Okay, so it's not going to just happen straight down. At least I don't think so. All right. Now, if we look on the weekly, here's another thing that's useful. Okay, people keep talking about the 21 EMA, and I've kind of not touched it for a while on the weekly because it's been so far away, so far removed from price. But now it looks like we may be coming close. We might want to start thinking about it. And the reason we want to start thinking about it is because the selling is starting to become a bit more aggressive. The daily time frames are really just showing us that price is not able to sustain any bit of movement to the upside. It's really just creating lower highs and lower highs. I guess you could make the argument that we're creating, a higher low is here, higher low, and then higher low. But I don't know if it's enough to just keep that as a higher low, because this trend line right here is definitely getting worn out. Once you touch it right there once, twice, and then 3 times in less than, this second time and the third time you've touched it in less than probably 7 days. Okay, so not the best way to go about holding this trend line as a good amount of support from the side of the bull's case. Okay, so with that being said, the 21 EMA currently resides around $8,800, $8,900. I don't know exactly where it's going to go, but for the most part, I would say this whole block right here is your big demand block. And this is really where we had 1, 2, and a third week of big upside movement before we got significantly rejected. So anywhere between the high of 87, 8,800 and to the low of about $7,600. That's really where price could land. I know that's a big range, but if I get an opportunity to get some longs in there, more than likely I would like to do that. Okay. Again, I'll let my Advantage community know. If you are not part of the Advantage community, go to cryptosomniac.com, hit the products page right here, and you can get 7 free days, all right, in the Advantage membership if you just buy this technical analysis course. It's very cheap. It's actually only $10. Let's see, you can see 8 days left, only $10. All right, so for $10, you get 7 free days in our Advantage community. All these locked channels that you see right here are for our Advantage members. Okay, one of the perks of being an Advantage member is you get updates like this. okay, where I let people know exactly what I'm doing. I didn't really provide these updates for the free members because a lot of my time and effort and energy goes towards my Advantage members. And you can see that visible right here because my Advantage members get all the perks and the benefits. Even someone who followed my short, you can see right there, made a good amount of money. Even over here, making some great gains on some longs right here. People who are opening up on margin trading, people who are using Deribit. So anyway, folks, I think there's a lot of benefits to using our Cryptosomniac Advantage membership. Other than gains, it's being able to protect your capital. If you keep constantly losing money and you don't know why we got out of the market over here, or actually over here, and you stayed in the market through this entire run, that might be a reason to join. Okay, if you didn't know exactly what was going on in this entire move up, and you don't know what's happening on smaller and bigger time frames, it might be time to start becoming more educated, becoming more knowledgeable in terms of technicals, and join our course or our Advantage membership, right? Now, lastly, I just want to talk about how the alts, okay, are looking very, very bearish. All right. Now, the bearish case, actually, yesterday I mentioned how one thing that Ether is doing is it's trapped in this descending trend line right here, this yellow trend line. Okay. And every time it's come close to this trend line, I'm going to turn this off, it gets rejected. Okay. And that's basically what happened right here, right? So first rejection, rejection, rejection right there, and pretty much got rejected right there. I mean, this is even a steeper trend line. So for the next spot for Ether to land, if Bitcoin goes down to the mid 8s, is hopefully no lower than $150. If 150 can hold, I still think Ether will be just fine for the long run. But more than likely, it will probably go down to 150. Okay, if Bitcoin does go down to those $8,000 levels. All right. I did talk about Bitcoin dominance as well. Here's something that's happening in Bitcoin dominance. Okay, this was a big sort of rising wedge. I don't know why this keeps happening. I'm gonna open this up a little bit, like this, and like this. So this is your rising wedge, okay? Rising wedges, if you are not familiar, again, we talk about these in our Advantage community. These are bearish patterns. You can Google this yourself. Typically what happens is the ranges are broad at the beginning of the trend, and then they get smaller and smaller. And typically what happens is, the reason why this is getting smaller and smaller is because buyers and sellers are meeting at a price that is agreed upon in somewhere at the top of this wedge. And then typically what happens is in this area, either the buyers need to step up aggressively or the sellers, are just waiting for the price to reach a certain level. And when the sellers dominate this market, then this kind of breaks down from the wedge. So this is really what's happening overall in BTC dominance, okay? The price of Bitcoin has been going down, and now it's sort of reaching this flatness right here. You can see this flattening right here that's happening around 70 points for Bitcoin dominance, okay? Now, when this does start breaking down, the next biggest support that Bitcoin has is somewhere around this range right here, around 64 to 65 points. So that's a 5% drop in Bitcoin dominance level. So which could easily be, another 10 to 15% drop in market cap of Bitcoin. Okay. Worst case scenario is it drops way down here, which is around the 50 to 55 points. And this could mean potentially, an alt season. Again, not saying it definitively has to happen, but more than likely, this does look like it's going to break down. Okay, and it's visible in price as well, right? The price is sort of slowly giving way. The Bitcoin dominance is slowly giving way. So it really just seems like, both these things are giving you these signals, warning signs that, hey, Bitcoin dominance is looking weak, Bitcoin price is looking weak. And so for the most part, the dominance will go down. And what that means for altcoins is something even worse, okay? If we start looking at the others.d chart, which is the altcoin dominance, right? It's already at pretty critical lows. Okay, so far altcoins have not done, squat in terms of movement when Bitcoin has been going up or down. Whether Bitcoin goes up or down, alts have been going down regardless. Very few alts are actually outperforming Bitcoin. And so for the most part, what I expect is, because this is now a rejection, this will probably go down a bit further. The next biggest spot to go down for altcoin dominance is way down here around 3%. Okay, 3.2 or 3.5% at the most. All right, and if that happens, that means your Ethereum will probably go to 150, like I said. Litecoin will probably go to about $50. Let's see the Litecoin chart, right? Here's the Litecoin chart. You can see it's already breaking down around $70 or so. It'll probably come down here at the very high $60, but it may come down here around 52 to 53. Okay, this is really the big bounce spot where price, sort of hit this area right here, and then it really just took off. Came back again for that, $60 area, and then just took off again. So I would not be surprised if it comes back to that sort of big parabolic movement levels, so around $50. So Ethereum we're marking out at somewhere around 150, Litecoin around $50. Let's see how EOS looks. Okay, EOS probably doesn't look that great either. Let me delete these and let's see if we can find a better chart for EOS with more history. So here's EOS, right? We were looking at this descending broadening wedge. Though it broke out, it didn't do anything except just create another larger broadening wedge like that. Okay, so we could just simply move that trend line, and it's still saying that we're just going down in this broadening wedge. All right, so more than likely EOS will probably come down to this sideways level right here, which is around, I don't know, $2.40, maybe to a high of 270 at most. Okay, currently it's around 356. So EOS could drop another from here down to that level, around 25-27%. Okay, BNB, let's see how BNB could drop. Okay, BNB probably does not look too great either. BNB will probably drop somewhere in here because this was a lot of chop before takeoff. This was probably more of a shakeout. So anywhere between this $22 and way down here around 19. So let's just say somewhere in the middle. Let's just pick, say, $21, right? So somewhere around here. That's another 21% drop, all right, in BNB. ETH, we said, will drop to about 150. So from here down 150, that's about 19% drop or so, right? LTC, we said somewhere around $50 or so. So let's see exactly where that is. About 27 to 28% drop. Okay. Now, finally, I just want to look at XRP, and I'm looking at all the high market cap coins because those are the ones that are really going to drag on that others.d chart, the dominance chart, because they're the highest, market cap coins. They have a lot of money still left in it. Okay. So let's check out the others.d chart. I wanted to pull up something else. Okay. Here's the Poloniex chart that I've been drawing up on the 3-day. Where'd it go? Let's see if it's over here. Oh, whoops. Actually, let me do it like this. XRP, USD, Poloniex, right there. Okay, here's the Poloniex chart. All right, so if XRP is supposed to go down, more than likely it probably come down to the bottom of this area. I don't think XRP has too much more downside, but just the same as probably the other coins like LTC and Ethereum and EOS and BNB. So if it goes down, it'll probably go down another 27 to 30%. Anywhere at the bottom of this chop, so around 17 cents to about maybe 20 at most, okay, or as low as maybe 14. All right. So keep in mind all those numbers, and if you are looking to go long on some of those, you now have some markers to look at. But like I said, if Bitcoin does drop lower, breaks that trend line I've been talking about right here, this rising trend line, Okay, I fully expect XRP and Ethereum and Litecoin and BNB and EOS, even Bcash. Let's see how Bcash looks too. Okay, here's Bcash, right? I would expect Bcash to probably go somewhere around here, anywhere between this stop right here, 150, to about as high as 195. So let's just pick somewhere in the middle from here to here. Let's just say 190 or so. Okay, so that's about a 36% drop. Maybe as high as say 195, and as low as this area right here, 155. So that's a 50% drop. So Bcash and XRP and EOS and Ethereum, all these are just looking aggressively bearish. And you could see Bcash is already starting to break this trend line right here. If I just hold this out kind of like this, it's actually already broken that. Okay, so touch 1 right there, touch 2 right there, touch 3, and touch 4 has already broken past it. You can see this green candle has used that white trend line as resistance, and now this red bearish engulfing candle is now sort of coming down. Not really a bearish engulfing, but just a bearish candle. It's now starting to break down. So everything, it seems like, is lined up perfectly for the perfect storm, right? For the alts to really just capitulate. And this would bring, the next maybe 15 days, 30 days of just a very dark crypto summer, if you will. Okay. So we had our crypto winter last year, and this might be a quick, crypto summer or crypto spring, whatever you want to call it. And this might be the quick capitulation that we may need in the space to then bring Bitcoin as well as alts to certain levels that are a bit more attractive, a bit more appealing. Okay. Clearly these may seem overpriced right now for interested buyers, but back at 150 levels, then at the very least for buyers, they can say, oh, at the very least, if it goes up, it may go towards that previous high, which is another, or the previous swing high, which is another 215% if it goes down to this level, right? So if I was a buyer, if I was a professional, if I was a bot or smart money, I would be looking at the charts like that. I wouldn't be looking at the charts as, oh, BCH can go all the way to its previous all-time high. No, we got to forget that. We may never go there, okay? But at the very least, if I get to this local high right here in the next few months, a 200% return in, let's just say, even 6 months, that's a fantastic return, okay? So if I was a fund, if I was a hedge fund, smart money, professional trader, part of a big institution, that's what I would be looking at, all right? So folks, brace yourself, and it might be time to really just start being careful, being a little bit more cautious with your capital. All right, with that being said, I'll leave you at that. I guess like I said, the bullish case scenario is breaking past this descending trend line. Other than that, I really don't see any other case. I don't see any case or reason to be bullish. I think it's very apparent that price is aggressively weak, volume is going down. I think it's time to, call off the bets and, sit out and watch the fireworks from afar and just wait if you want to go long, or if you want to go short, wait for that capitulation either past this trend line, or if you want, wait for a retrace back up and then open a short for the downside. All right. That's it, folks. Again, like I said, long if 11,700 breaks on the daily and weekly, and I'm going to be short if 10,100 closes here on the daily, and if it closes lower, I'm going to be even more short and even more aggressively bearish if it does close below this black trend line. All right, so you have some areas to watch. I hope this video was helpful. Again, give me a thumbs up if you enjoy my content, folks. I do this content for free every single day, but majority of my time does go to my Advantage members. So I do hope you come join, at least buy the course, come try out our community for 7 days, or our Advantage membership, and see the gains that others are seeing, okay? Or at the very least, be able to save your money. All right, if you keep getting knocked down by bad trades, or you just don't know why you're getting in at the wrong spots and you're selling at the wrong spots, let me at least help you. Let me at least help educate you on how to go about, properly protecting your capital. All right. That's it, folks. I'll talk to y'all soon. Have a wonderful day. All right. Cheers.